Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Group Chat. I know you're thinking, wow, why am I so lucky? Why am I getting an episode on Monday evening instead of Tuesday evening? Actually, we're going to tell you. We're going to tell you at the end of the episode why. It has to do with Anand.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to do with him being rich, I guess.
Well, I'm not there.
That's it.
No,
we're going to stick on that. So we have a fun game at the end of the episode. We're going to see if you guys can spot Anand on TV tomorrow night. So that's a little bit of a clue. But Anand's going on a little trip. And so we're recording today. Dee's out. Anand and I are going to run you through the biggest stories going on today. Got a hell of an episode. We got some more Kanye news. So we got to talk about that. Even Trump Kanye news. And then we have Anand brought with him really interesting information about how the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are targeting people online for their ads. So what audiences they think are similar to theirs. And it's a really fun experience to see, like, what restaurants do Republicans shop at according to them or go to? What restaurants do Democrats go to? What artists does each group listen to? It is really fun and funny. So we're going to go over all that. We got some other news to talk about. We're going to talk about Kanye. We got a good little rundown today. You ready, Anand?
yeah, it's fun. It's a fun episode.
Let's do it.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, Group Chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
Anand, did you just say you saw Eddie Murphy?
I did. We talk about this a kind of a decent amount in Los Angeles. Like, you never know what's going to happen. So I
especially these days.
These days specifically.
Yeah.
So I was on the way over to the office, and Eddie Murphy's just like in a car being followed by multiple cameras and trucks and police people, and he's just filming.
Like down like Wilshire or something, like one of the main roads?
Wilshire and Doheny.
Oh my God. And how do you know it was Beverly? You just know that's what they're filming right now?
I asked around. I was like, what the fuck is Eddie Murphy filming? And everyone's like, oh, it's Beverly Hills Cop 4.
Wow. That's still cool, man.
It's still
that's
cool.
Still like, like that's like people come here, and I always joke about like how people come here and they do like Star Tours, right? And they're driving all around and whatever. And I was like, isn't it kind of funny? I said this to Corinne the other day. Isn't it kind of funny? Like, we live in like a zoo. Like, like our local, like, Ralph's, they like those Star Tours go past Rock and Roll Ralph's, and they're like, here's where blah, 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 whatever. And that's just our local area. Like, it's like living in a zoo, and tourists are coming to look around at where you live. So to us, we get like super desensitized. Obviously you see celebrities out and about all the time, but man, seeing Eddie Murphy filming a movie is like pretty sick.
Yeah, it's like Monday afternoon, 2:30 p.m. and you see Eddie Murphy just like filming on Wilshire. I mean, Eddie Murphy's a big star.
Huge. Yeah. I wonder if maybe you'll see the movie and maybe you'll see yourself like flying by. Were you in an Uber or something? I
was in an Uber.
Just don't forget the make and model. You might see yourself.
I mean, I saw Tobey Maguire at dinner last week. Spider-Man.
Just eating?
Yeah, with him and his kids and his family. We watched Monday Night Football together. Me and Toby.
You and Tobes. It's cool. Especially like, I think seeing Tobes is cool, but I think seeing a movie be filmed, and Eddie Murphy, you always, like, when you're driving around here, you always see sets and you always see trailers, but you never really know what it is or who it is. You rarely see the actual actors. And if you do, it's rarely big actors. But Eddie Murphy's hard to beat.
And I mean, that means the budget is insane. If they're in Beverly Hills filming daytime, he's like, I'm not doing the New Orleans, Atlanta filming.
Yeah, the fake Beverly Hills. I want the real thing.
You're doing it down the street from my house, and we're going to do it on Monday afternoon.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, that's a good little tidbit of Hollywood info on the way in. What else? So you have some papers. You mentioned these papers on our last episode, but you said that whatever, we didn't have time. It wasn't it didn't fit into the docket. I'm really curious. what are these? These are stats on how different people, what keywords they use to target Democrats and Republicans, or what is this?
Yeah, so Axios analyzed more than 93,000 Facebook and Instagram ads targeting political campaigns, so Democrats and Republicans. And they broke it down from news, entertainment, shopping, sports, and how they target. And I thought it was pretty fascinating. So Democratic campaigns, they filtered out, this is all public data, which I had no idea. This is all public data. So Democrats are filtering out fans of Joe Rogan. So they're like, we've already lost them. We're not going to target Joe Rogan fans, which I thought was interesting.
That is silly.
It is silly. And Democrats tend, from the news perspective, so they don't want to target anyone who likes Joe Rogan. They target magazines like Glamour, Vanity Fair, and Spanish language outlets such as Univision, and people that are interested in journalism. While Republicans target any prominent Fox News host, and that's from like the news perspective. And from entertainment, Democrats are targeting fans of Issa Rae, Tyler Perry, Lady Gaga, and Azalea Banks. And Republicans target Kid Rock and Ted Nugent.
Yeah, they're struggling on the artist front. Democrats are like Lady Gaga. They do a little Beyonce. They sometimes, and it's like Republicans only got Kid Rock and Ted Nugent.
Interesting. Republicans for the TV segment, they target Duck Dynasty. Makes sense.
I mean, that's right up the alley. Yep.
And Shark Tank. That was what I was surprised about.
I wonder if they have some that is pretty interesting. Because obviously we know a lot of people that love Shark Tank. And
I think Shark Tank is meant for the Midwest and like the middle of the country.
Yeah, it must have a big Republican base.
Yeah, and they target country music giants Big and Rich. I don't even know who that is.
Oh, yeah, they have country.
And then George Strait. Yeah. Celebrity chef Paula Deen. Do you know who that is?
Mm-hmm. Yep. She famously, I think, had like a rant, or she had something that went viral, like that was, I forget what it was. It was a rant off mic or something like that.
And then from a groceries, this is actually funny. So who Republicans won't target? Anyone that is interested in Trader Joe's or Whole Foods.
This is good. This is really good information.
And then Republicans do target Chick-fil-A fans, Cracker Barrel, Cabela's, and Bass Pro Shops.
They got some heavy hitters over there.
And then Democrats target Nordstrom, Lululemon, and Zara, and groceries delivered by HelloFresh and Blue Apron.
Oh, this is fun. This is really so fun because it's like, you're right. This could almost be like a game.
Yeah, no, it's
like pick which restaurant, put it in the bucket. This is incredible.
And Republicans were far more likely than Democrats to target athletic fan bases, seeking out fans of football, baseball, basketball, hockey, tennis, hunting, fishing, car racing, both NASCAR and Formula One.
That's really interesting. So there was no sports mentioned in the Democrat bucket?
So, to go further on the Republicans, they're going heavy on sports. So, they lost it on entertainment.
Makes sense.
Remember, they didn't have enough stars.
You can make it up on football alone.
And then the Republicans went harder on college and professional sports, ESPN, Barstool Sports, and channels devoted to the SEC, Southeast Conference, college football, and Big Ten football. Democrats removed their ads for NASCAR and deer hunting, which makes sense. And then Democrat ads targeted soccer fans, including people interested in the Mexican, Argentine, Colombian, Costa Rican, and Peruvian national teams.
What a joke. That makes me want to be a Republican.
I thought that was interesting.
Just kidding, listeners. That is fascinating. It's also fascinating to understand. Like, I've never thought about it in terms of what lookalike audience they're targeting. Like that's like our language, like we do so much of that from having an e-com business, and you just don't think about it in those terms, but it's really fun to do that. That's fascinating. That would be a really fun game.
I wonder
to play
if
with your friends.
You got to imagine, right? Political ad spend is probably amongst the highest in ad spend, right? It's
you would think
it's in the billions a year.
Yeah.
So they're in a good science. I wonder if you can apply it to your own businesses, like the way they're kind of doing it.
I wonder what the thing that came to my mind was imagine if the Democrats instead had a candidate who you could also target football fans or Cracker Barrel lovers, or like imagine how much broader your target could be, as opposed to like, I feel like they continue to go deeper and deeper into their own artists and their own niches. Like just imagine if you had that candidate that you could gain people from, you could start pulling out of the Republican bucket. That would be so huge.
Right. But yeah, no, I think it's fascinating that everyone's kind of doubling down into their own niche. So no one actually wants to expand the conversation. That's what I gained from this. Because these are all the obvious things, right? Like a Whole Foods customer is more likely to be Democrat, right?
Yeah.
And
it's just like unless you listen to Joe Rogan, you're going to think that we are just being fanboys here. But the fact that they carved out Joe Rogan shows you how stupid the way they think is.
They're out to lunch.
Joe Rogan is the biggest media personality on earth today, and he constantly says, I'm a Democrat.
Yeah, and he said, sorry for my choice words. If you think I'm a conservative, suck my dick.
Yeah. And they're like, nah, we'll keep this guy out. Like, that's an ad. Run that ad to fucking Kid Rock fans. Bam, you're going to turn them.
I know me and you, Dee's not here, but, we kind of religiously listen to him. He's the last kernel of truth at scale.
I mean, yeah, no question. At scale, no question at all. Because the scale that he's actually at, people still don't appreciate.
Yeah, 20 million people per episode 3 times a week that are listening 3.5 hours.
And here's what's absurd. So 3.5 hours, that's an absurd stat. The other thing that's absurd is, so like I could tell you he's bigger than any CNN show. Okay, great. Bigger than any Fox News show. Great. But the other thing that's even bigger is it's all him. So like the people that listen to him genuinely like believe him. Some of them want to be like him. Some of them think that he's the most knowledgeable voice on health. Some of the people, like the level of buy-in is like, I don't think that there's many people that watch Tucker Carlson that think like, man, I wish Tucker would tell me what his diet is because he's looking good.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like they genuinely want to live like Joe Rogan. And we all know that that type of celebrity is way more powerful than the voice that gives you the news or opinion celebrity. It's wild. But to give up that, to carve that out and say no thanks shows you how dumb they're being.
Yeah, because
about it.
I mean, you have to recommend anyone just listen to the conversation. It's an open, free-flowing conversation where they fact check real time in the podcast.
Yeah.
So even if you have some crazy person that's like saying something, he's like, pull that up. Yeah. Let's see it. Like, prove it to me. Where else in news are you finding that?
Nobody who sometimes I'll see like people, because the TikTok comment section is like real poppin'. It's like a big part of the app, and sometimes I'll see like Joe Rogan stuff and I'll just go through the comments to try to understand like the case for hating him. And it's just people who don't listen. That's all. It's people who don't listen, who look at the bald UFC commentator buff with tattoos. He looks like he's on Duck Dynasty. And if you just catch a couple bad clips, you make up your mind. But man, it's a mistake. It's the biggest fumble. Like the Democrats have, like we just talked about, the biggest, most influential media personality probably for the last very long time. And they're just letting it. They are actually choosing to not target his people. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's also stupid in the sense that he is the biggest.
Mm-hmm.
So why wouldn't you target?
You have it. You lost CNN.
And you could use the clip that I just said. He said it on his podcast. If you
That's
think
an ad.
I'm a conservative, suck my dick. Word for word, Joe Rogan said that.
You do that with target NFL audience, maybe throw in some Cracker Barrel. Bam.
I mean, he has a lot of progressive stances, right? He's
Very.
pro-gay marriage, pro-trans.
Pro-choice.
The only thing is it COVID? Is that the only reason people hate him?
Guns. Yeah, most people hate him because they saw a clip during COVID. Guns. He's a big Second Amendment guy.
Yep.
And then one big thing, like there's these little clips that get, number one, I mean, the N-word tape didn't, if you only saw that thing, you think like, okay, wow, so this guy's a straight up racist, which he's talked about many times. And then there was another thing recently. Oh, there was something where he said something about like during COVID, they shut down all these small businesses. And what do you do if you're a small business? How do you trust your government? Whatever. And he said, vote Republican. And he was being kind of funny, but also, I mean, it is the Republican states that stayed open the most and didn't shut down small businesses. And he made that comment, which, like I said, was kind of funny. And that clip went everywhere. So if you've only seen him saying the N-word, fighting against COVID, using ivermectin, and saying vote Republican, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, but think about it from if you just like kind of counter it for anyone that hates him. Like the dude talks for 3.5 hours multiple times a week. You're gonna say some stuff. We've said crazy shit on this podcast.
Yeah, I agree.
Like things just come out.
He's also just a mindfuck. It's like if you had like a blue-haired, super liberal-looking, like LA, Portland, Oregon-looking podcaster who was actually a Republican. Like you just wouldn't believe it. Like he looks so Republican. He's like he's a mindfuck.
Yeah.
But I agree. It's a silly thing, and it's the biggest. The only thing that I care about is it's the biggest fumble of the Democratic Party to not pay attention to what's going on there and try to be a part of it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I'm texting you about saunas. That's because of Rogan.
There you go. All day. All right. Let's talk about some news. I mean, Kanye's back in the news today, man. Keep in mind, we recorded yesterday, and this guy's banned on all social media, and still there's something new every day. So I do have to say, last night after we recorded, I really got, I don't know if it's because I said the word Kanye West 50 times because we were recording, but I got hit with so many TikToks of his Drink Champs interview, and it is fucking absurd. Those guys should not have had him on. They should not have posted that episode. They think that they were doing something good, obviously, or else they wouldn't have done it, or at least they thought they were boosting up their numbers. But they really, I think, did Kanye a disservice. Like, I think there's some stuff in there that is super damaging, and they should have watched that and been like, look, for Kanye's sake, we're not going to do this. But anyway, today it comes out that he has agreed to buy Parler. Parler is the social media app that I would say, like, all the conservatives went to. I mean, that's what they're known for. I don't think that's wrong to say. It kind of, I don't know. I mean, once again, I'm saying how I feel, not necessarily the facts, but it felt like kind of a super right-wing haven, over the last couple years in the social media world for people to go on. There's kind of no rules. It seems like there's no banning, there's no censorship. And it just feels like a home for some pretty alt-right thoughts and things that aren't allowed on Twitter. And so now today it comes out that both Parler and Kanye have agreed for a transaction. I mean, there's no way this goes through, right?
Yeah, there's probably no way it goes through. I think it's just further that Kanye has found his niche. So it's basically alt-right. And the alt-right is embracing him with open arms. So every right-wing opinionist is like, Kanye, which is
now we see why. All they have is Ted Nugent and Kid Rock.
Yes. Yeah, they need
start targeting Kanye fans. You're off to the races here.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think I'm really curious. We've talked about this at so much length. When does the youth abandon him? Like, at
They're
what
definitely
point?
abandoning. Our rooms had 4 dicks. Last night on TikTok, I saw there's another big trend of sort of like Kanye, please don't say another crazy thing. Like, just remember my beautiful dark twisted fantasy, or remember. They would play a great Kanye song and like, please just don't mess this up. And then it would be like a clip from his Drink Champs interview or whatever. So like the trend, the conversation is going in the direction of like, this guy is just fucking up his whole legacy and everything. I think he's getting into irredeemable territory.
You would think, right? At what point, though, do you...
Good music solves it all. But to be honest with you, the thing that gets me is, to me, what I don't think we've been paying attention to, because I think so many people have like stuck up for him or tried to save him or try to keep things under wraps, is I think he has been making progressively worse music with progressively more freakouts for the last 5 years.
Yep.
I don't think this is like, a freak out, and then you're going to give us my beautiful dark twisted fantasy and we're all back, and then maybe another freak out next year. Really, my beautiful dark twisted fantasy and all of the great albums, College Dropout, all those were so long ago. He hasn't released a classic body of work in quite a while. And I think ever since go.
No, I was saying it's also like really hard to continue to put out the hits you talked about. Drake's my favorite artist of all time. And when's the last Drake hit?
Yeah. Yeah, the last real, what was the last great Kanye album? Yeezus? Squad? Is there any youth in the office?
I think it was actually, Yeezus, right? It was that 2016. I went to a Kanye concert.
That's what that tour was.
Week before my wedding, 2016, at the Forum where the moving stage was.
Yes.
That's The Life of Pablo, I think, right?
Was that Life of Pablo?
You're right.
Yeah, that's like his last.
That was 6 years ago or 7 years ago.
Yeah, that was a while.
So I would say in that same year, he released Life of Pablo, and then he went on that first Trump rant on the floating stage. Remember that?
Yep.
And then then the tour was shut down. He was going into mental health lockdown. I think from that moment on, so we're talking 6 years, it has been downhill on the music and downhill on the freakouts. This isn't just one freakout. And would you agree?
I would agree, and I think it's. I won't say impossible, but virtually impossible to put out a record like he's had.
Yeah,
7 years ago. Where the whole world,
rap's just a young man's game anyway.
I didn't know this. The song that Dee was talking about was a Lil Baby, Walk to Poland.
Lil Yachty.
Lil Yachty, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Lil Yachty, and I was I apologize to the youth.
Thank you.
Lil Yachty, and after the pod, I think the next day, I go over to Javier's desk and I was like, what's the song Dee's talking about? And then he starts playing it. And I'm like, what does this mean? Yeah. I Walk to Poland. And he's like, he actually, I don't know if you knew or not, but we went on Rap Genius to get the definitive answer, because that is the authority on rap lyrics.
Yeah.
And do you know what it means?
I know what it means. What it means is he was making a joke in the studio, and one of his friends, he was sort of trolling them in the booth, and one of his friends was drinking a Poland Spring ice water, and he started singing that. So
according to Rap Genius, the pharmaceutical company that makes lean is Walk something.
Walk
and he's
heart.
What is it?
Walk heart.
Walk heart. And he's like, I'm to Poland, meaning like he was cool enough to bring lean into Poland and didn't get caught.
Okay, so maybe he said that. So Genius is the definitive.
Isn't that what it said on Rap Genius?
So listen, he has an interview. I don't know. I'll find it. But he has an interview. He might have said that in a different interview. Sometimes artists, whatever. But he has an interview where he literally says, I was in the booth. I was trolling my friends. I was just singing wild shit. And I looked over at my friend and he had a Poland Spring ice water. And I started singing, I took the walk to Poland. And everyone loved it and vibed out. And we released it. And it was sick.
So you think Rap Genius is going a little too far into his genius and he literally was talking about Poland Spring water?
I do. Or maybe he made it, maybe he was being silly in that interview and he did another interview and he said that that's what it meant. Because Genius is pretty reliable for the culture. But I'll send you guys that interview so you see it.
But
anyway, yes, that's the youth.
That's the youth.
I want Kanye to figure that out. That's tough.
I think it's really tough.
You got kids, you got baby moms, you got ex-wives. You're trying to figure out how to jump on the walk to Poland sound. It's tough.
And I also had this conversation with Javier and Jordan, who are in the room right now, how much more dangerous rap is than it was when I was growing up in the 90s and you were growing up in the 90s. Like, so 90s rap, it was violence, right? It was gangs, murders, violence, beef, whatever. As a suburban kid in the San Fernando Valley of Los Angeles, that wasn't an option. You just like listen to the lyrics, you scream, yell, whatever.
Yeah.
But today, walking to Poland is an option.
You're right. You can participate.
I couldn't get in a gang in the San Fernando Valley and act like Tupac or Biggie in 1995. But you can walk to Poland. You can walk to Poland.
I wonder, there's got to be kids at the Poland border, at the border of Poland. Like, come on, let us in. Just let us walk. There is.
No, but my point is you can participate in rap in a way you could not participate in the 90s. What I mean by that is today you could participate in rap and do lean. You can do all the drugs they're talking about very easily. Whereas in the 90s they didn't talk about that stuff.
Yeah, that's true. It was a lot more murder, which is
tough murder, gang beef
get involved with. Yeah. Yeah, I also think that there's such a broad array. Like you could do what Jack Harlow's doing. You could go more the Corday route. You can find a lot of killing and shooting if you want. You can do lean. You can drink Poland Springs water if you want. There's a wide variety of options.
Or pills, a lot of pills. Juice. Juice WRLD's all pills.
Yeah, there's so much of that stuff is like pill rap. I think, unfortunately, a lot of kids do participate in that.
But that's how. But yes. That was my kind of epiphany last week. I didn't realize it, and I was like, after Javier explained to me the "Walk to Poland" song, where it's just basically talking about lean. We think, who knows? But I was like, damn, a young kid can easily do all of this stuff.
Yeah. I think they are. I think they're doing it.
Yeah, I think they are too.
Justin Bieber. Remember when Justin Bieber literally got the most, I don't think this is fake news. He got the most popular brand of lean banned because he was walking to Poland. The Biebs was a fan. The Biebs was impacted by rap music, started walking to Poland. And because he's the biggest star in the world, they literally banned that type of, I think it was activists or whatever. Think about that. It impacted our biggest pop star. Couldn't stop walking.
Yeah. Too many people are walking to Poland. It's a dangerous country, apparently.
It is crazy, man. Well, anyway, the point of all that, just to bring it full circle, is it's very hard, no matter how great of an artist you are, to get back into that. Youth rap music is very much youth and young people and young culture. And I just think no matter, even if Kanye was in everyone's best graces, that is a challenging feat. But where he's at now, and the problem is that he's going so right, and he, being involved with Parler and all this stuff. It's really hard for young people to like, I think they'll do anything to try to make him acceptable, but I think he's making it so hard that, I mean, in that Drink Champs interview, he recited some of the most controversial, like hard to swallow points that Candace Owens made, which Candace Owens is very controversial. She has no problem doing that. Some of the most controversial parts of her documentary, like such as saying that the cop, Derek Chauvin, wasn't actually kneeling on George Floyd's neck. He was kneeling on his back. That's a point that Candace Owens makes, which is
and it was something
absurd.
about fentanyl, right?
Yeah, and that he was overdosing on fentanyl, and that essentially,
how's
like,
that different than Alex Jones making up shit?
That's what I'm saying. But for Kanye to recite that in an interview, it's like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah. No,
like, you're not saying like, oh, I heard, the BLM, some of the money went missing and I'm standing up for the real Black Lives Matter. That's like controversial, but okay, there's a path there. But like to recite the most like kind of outlandish claims from, it's like if he was copying Alex Jones and he was like, well, we should look into that Sandy Hook thing. Might have been some actors.
Actually,
like, what
very
are you doing?
Similar, right? Isn't it very similar?
Yeah. To me, it is.
And just to think about music, like, I don't know how you feel, Drum. I'm curious. So I'm 39 years old, and I never thought I would be like the old guy, and I'd always be able to like, keep up with the youth and love the music they're listening to. And then I heard Walk to Poland, and I said, I'm out to lunch. I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah, I'm not.
I'm not walking to Poland.
I haven't played 1 second of the Walk to Poland.
But Dee's out there saying it to Dominic.
Dee will probably do it till forever. Dee will be 80 singing whatever the new Walk to Poland rendition is.
But it's crazy.
Tough for me.
It's crazy that like we are that person. At least I'm identifying myself as that person where I'm like, I don't understand it.
It's tough. It made me kind of sad the other day because I was literally like, I was going through like rap hits or something on Spotify of like new rap. And I was like, damn, man, like it is tough. There's a lot of this that's like tough for me to get in with, like you feel when you're not like, it's like, oh, this isn't for me anymore.
Mm-hmm. That's how I feel today.
Yeah. I felt old. Well, we'll see. Did you see the other funny thing is because, obviously, whatever, there was a Ben Horowitz call out. Like Kanye said that after, this cannot be true. After 444 came out, Jay-Z's album, he said in the Drink Champs interview that Ben Horowitz called him and said, hey man, I really don't like Jay-Z disclosing all of our Jewish secrets for wealth building. And that is how the Jewish people hoard knowledge. And the guy's like, oh, what? Because he was talking about like collecting art and stuff. And he's like, yeah, they don't want that.
Oh my God.
I'm like, you're making these stories up.
Yeah, no, that's made up because I feel like I'm privy to, some of the knowledge of that relationship.
Yeah.
And I could tell you from what I've seen, there hasn't been a bigger supporter kind of behind the scenes than Ben Horowitz of Kanye.
And this guy.
And he just
throws him under the bus and made up a story. I mean, Ben Horowitz is the best in tech at supporting minority opportunity?
1,000% times 1,000, whatever the maximum is. You're
going to call that guy, you're going to throw him under the bus and say
he's the most inclusionary person in Silicon Valley, period, full stop.
Yeah. And he said, I don't like you disclosing our Jewish secret. Like, what? You're going to make him like he's part of like a Jewish.
And Ben Horowitz has a black wife.
Yeah. Well, that's the type of shit he's saying in that interview. And the listener of Drink Champs doesn't even know who Ben Horowitz is. Like, what do you do? It's just so absurd.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay. So here's the other thing about Kanye. It came out today that Trump is telling people around him that he needs to distance himself from Kanye. This is also a really bad look. Like, it's one thing for Kanye to support Trump. That's already really bad for the whole thing. it's another thing for Trump to start coming out and saying he needs to distance himself from Kanye. He's acting too crazy and he needs help and he's going too far and Trump needs to distance himself. That's absurd.
That means Trump sees no more use of Kanye, right?
Or he sees too much risk, not enough reward.
Yeah. So it's basically like Trump saw a benefit hosting him at the Oval Office 4 years ago, or whatever, how long ago that was, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And he's basically like, yeah, I don't need him anymore. He's not really like a net positive to me. So Trump, who's probably the most divisive person in the history of the United States of America, is like, hey, this guy is a problem.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Like, it's just like, I don't think people understand, or maybe they do and they're just so used to it by now, but Kanye supporting Trump and Trump supporting Kanye is absurd. But Trump distancing himself from Kanye because he's gone too far is fucking nuts.
Yeah, and I wonder, do you think he can still get back on Tucker and Hannity, or is that done?
I think right now it's done. I think he could get back on it one day because I think they are so hungry to talk about like leftist censoring and things like that, that they'll stretch to make that work. But I think right now he couldn't.
Do you think, obviously Tucker and Hannity, they know what they're doing, right? They're basically like, this guy's blockbuster. We can get views. Let's get him on. Do you think anyone is actually, that's of importance, thinking about Kanye like, no, I want to support him, not in the realm of just getting more clicks and likes? Like Candace Owens is obviously using him.
I think like
to,
Dave
like, build
Chappelle
their
might
platform.
still. You mean like truly, like actually, like I'm saying behind the scenes, I don't know what he would do publicly, but I think there are definitely people still behind the scenes saying we can fix this.
I'm going to stand by my guy. Like, I don't know. I mean, I didn't see the interview, but Ben Horowitz is very supportive of Kanye years ago.
Yeah.
But after you blast him like that, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, he blasted Puffy. He called him a Fed. He blasted Meek Mill. I think there's probably, there's got to be like a Dave Chappelle. Because look, I mean, you can tell from that interview, not that they're like very big, powerful, influential people, but Nori and his co-host legitimately are still drinking the Kool-Aid and still think, like, they're like, yeah, man, good point. You want to say a thing that Kanye said? He said, look, man, if I'm running down the street, sweating and out of breath in short shorts and a tank top, everyone's going to call me crazy. But if 100 people are doing it with me, they're going to call it a marathon. And the room like lit up as if he just said something so crazy.
It's so stupid.
And it's like, no, dude, that they're going to be like, oh, Kanye's out for a jog. Like, where's his security? What are you talking about? Like, it's like, but that was his point for like, I'm just doing it alone right now. But once everyone joins me, it's going to be a marathon. And you have to call me crazy because I'm alone right now. And like, it's just like, no, dude, that's not what's happening here. You are so wrong. And that room was like, yes.
They thought he was a genius for that.
Yeah, they're still like sort of dick riding like the celebrity of it, the genius of it all. And it's like, no, you totally missed. You missed. So I do think there's people behind the scenes that are like, man, we got to protect this genius.
Yeah, like who can profit off him is pretty much the only persons that would still be behind him, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe a Dave Chappelle type character.
Well, it's not Drake. It's not Puff. It's not Jay-Z.
No. I think Dave Chappelle.
You think Chappelle's still behind him?
Maybe you just saw him and
I can find him on
scenes, he's going to go check in. Yeah. I don't know. It's just nuts. Like I said before, like we've never had this. I'm sure there was a lot of famous meltdowns in the past, but there's never been a meltdown of this size. So in the public eye with like social media and stuff. So like I said, like you hear crazy stories about Elvis, about all of these people. Who knows? I don't know what the details of those stories were, but for it's never happened at this level, this in front of everyone's face.
Yeah, because I remember I don't want to butcher this, but I think you would know. Jamie Foxx in an interview said when he was getting super famous, was it Jamie Foxx?
Yeah. They're like Oprah called him.
Oprah and all these people were like, yo, you need to chill. You have this chance to be like a legendary icon in this industry. You have all the talent, like you're getting out of pocket, right?
Yep. Because he was partying a lot and like doing crazy shit. And they're like, you got to tone it down. Yeah, I think Kanye's ship has sailed. Actually, I think a long time ago, they realized that he wasn't really listening to that. I think people were trying to like corral him and like kill stories and like trying to force it to not get out. And I really think this is the first time he's jumped over to the part of like, okay, he's too much has went public. Like he's sort of shot himself in the foot too many times and there's nothing we can do now. I mean, he said on that interview that Corey Gamble is a plant by the Clintons to sway the Kardashians. Good question. I don't know. He also said,
was it Corey Gamble's security before he started dating Chris?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he was, but he wasn't a Hillary Clinton plant. I can promise you that. Anywho, well, whatever. Okay, we'll wrap that topic up, but I'm sure that there'll probably be new news on Thursday, so no shortage. Last but not least, you know what? This is actually perfect. So, Anand, why are we recording today? Just me and you. Because Tuesday's our recording day, and usually I skip Tuesdays. It's usually you and Dee on Tuesdays, but here we are on Monday. Can you tell us what's going on, Mr. Global Elite?
No, I'm statewide, not global.
Okay, domestic elite.
Sticking within our borders of the great state of California.
I'm just saying, when it all goes down, they're coming for you.
So tomorrow, which is the reason why we're recording today, is I'm going to the Warriors-Lakers opener in San Francisco at the Chase Arena.
Wow. Where's your seats?
First, they're good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Would you say your feet would be resting on concrete or would they be resting on sort of a wood surface?
I think I'll have a very good vantage point.
Do you think that the Cathys would be able to spot you if maybe they were to tune in?
I think so. I think you'd find me.
Wow. Wow.
I need, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Great seats.
All right.
They're on the wood. Sorry. Fuck it. I'm saying fucking courtside.
Oh, good for you, man. You deserve it. Okay. So that's why we're recording today. I mean, are you excited? This is like dream scenario for you, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
Lakers.
it is. It's great. It's an arena that everyone's talked about, and pandemic, all this shit. I've never been able to go up there to actually see a game there. And they're playing the Lakers. It's LeBron, even though the Lakers, may have a shaky year this year. It's the ring ceremony. That's going to sting. I have to go watch the Warriors get rings.
Wow. That's how they started off?
That's the opening night. So I'm going to see all that. That's going to sting.
Yeah.
But,
I feel like there'll probably be some good people watching too. I mean, usually the tech elite are front and center. I feel like they'll all be out for that.
I'll have a good gauge of where Silicon Valley sentiment is after tomorrow night.
Yeah, you can ask Ben about this 444.
I probably shouldn't bring up the interview if I see it.
Oh my gosh.
But
that's great.
No,
that's
I'm going. I'm excited. And look, you have to appreciate, especially if you're a fan of anything. Like, I know you love combat sports, but I'm like a massive basketball fan, and seeing greatness, Steph Curry, LeBron, you just have to appreciate it. Like, I'm not going to be able to see these guys forever, and they're going to move on with their careers, but it's rare to see talent of that level. Yeah. So I'm excited.
There's no better sport to be, to have great seats at than basketball.
Yeah. There's like I'm sounding like a brat. I've sat courtside before at games, and there's a level of athleticism and speed and agility in the NBA that it's really hard to appreciate unless you see it in person.
And just at like the size of the court, like if you're on the field for an NFL game, like it's, like you're still far away for a lot of it.
Yep.
There's for whatever reason, it is so fun. I'm not even a big basketball fan, but anytime I've been even close to the floor at a basketball game, it's been, it's a really fun sport to watch that close. You feel like you're literally in the middle of it.
You're in the middle of it and you don't appreciate on TV. These guys are like 6'8", 6'10", and they're moving on a dime, like cross court at full speed, stopping, going. I mean, it's really wild. Insane how talented these guys are.
Okay. Well, listeners, if you want to know who the Hollywood elite is on the pod, now you know. The reason why I ended on that story was because Charles Barkley, this is making all the rounds in news today. Charles Barkley just signed a new TNT contract. People are saying like definitely worth $100 million, probably well over that, probably closer to $200 million. So the ballpark seems to be high 100s. I mean, good for Charles. Talk about like, these guys, Shaq, Charles, like they just crushed it in life after pro sports.
Yeah, no, I think, it's interesting because he, leading up to this agreement, which apparently just got announced today, was on like a podcast kind of tour talking about how he wants to retire and he's done. So I wonder if that was a negotiating tactic to get another
for sure.
200.
For sure.
And he was flirting with Liv. Remember that?
Yep.
He was flirting with Liv.
I forgot about that.
And
that was for sure a negotiating strategy. They were probably offering him like 50 and he just got 175.
Yeah. So let's assume he's making 15 to 20 million a year, which is probably the right ballpark.
Yep.
And it's well deserved because he is the biggest NBA personality, like in terms of commentating or whatnot. Everyone sees all his content clips. But what's interesting to me is how much bigger the NFL is than every other sport. So Troy Aikman, Joe Buck, Tony Romo, they all make the same amount of money. So call it roughly 20-ish a year, 18 to 20, something in that ballpark. They work 17 days.
Yeah, that's true.
And Charles Barkley's doing 3 nights a week, the entire NBA season, and he's doing the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
And those guys are making $20 million a year to do 17 ball games.
That's so sick. Like imagine
how awesome
if like for
of a job that is.
Like imagine us, like imagine we had like a clothing line for 10 years that did well. We made money. And then afterwards we just got to do what we do today, which is do a podcast about business. And you just got paid like the same amount for that.
Right.
Like it's so sick. I know that there's not a lot of people that get that opportunity or that can even do that because you have to be really entertaining and well-spoken, but man, that's so sick. Dream scenario.
Yeah. 17 days. Imagine.
Yeah, the Shield is where it's at.
The Shield. I mean, that's what Brady's contract. He has standing. It's a standing contract when he retires. I think it's $300 million over 10 years, $30 million a year for him to do what, 17 games?
And I bet he'll end up signing it for 500.
Right.
It's Brady. It's amazing. I mean, it's fucking amazing. If you're like I said, Barkley's it's not available.
Barkley's worth all his money, but he's working. These guys are doing 17 days.
Yeah. Football's the way to go. If you avoid the CTE, a lot of cash.
A lot of cash, but it's only like great. 3 or 4 people.
Yeah, that's the tough part, right? Other than that, you're like, what, hoping to get a podcast on Barstool.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, have a great trip.
I will.
Kathy's, let's play the Spot the Anand. Where's Anand? Feel free to DM us. Try to take photos. Circle the Anand if you can, and have a great time. And are you doing content? Are you trying to be low key? Or are you going to be posting content?
I already announced it, so now I have to post it. At least one post. I'm gonna try to get a LeBron Steph pick. Just them next to each other.
Perfect. Okay. Well, have a great time. Kathy's, we will be back on Thursday. Bye-bye.